Join us as we share our experiences, strength, and hope. When the world says, give up, hope whispers, try it one more time.
Well, hi, welcome back to Sharing Our Stories. My name is Slim, along with Tomas Hernandez, and Sharing Our Stories coming to you live from the 5280 Podcast Studio, brought to you by the Verge Media Academy. And if you're tuning in for the first time here, if you're not watching us on our social media Facebook page, Sharing Our Stories is a program about addiction and recovery, and we bring in guests to talk about their struggles with addiction, but most importantly, how they find their recovery and where they are in their lives now. So we have a great guest sitting beside us. Her name is Denae Garcia from Thornton,
T-Town.
or as she said it, what did she call it, Tomas?
T-Town.
T-Town.
Yeah.
Which we
Joshua Wapo, you're from T-Town now, bro.
Which people in Thornton right now in Colorado are going, no, not T-Town.
They're proud right now.
They are not proud. They are not
All our
proud.
Mexican friends are like, ¿cómo?
They're not proud. So we're going to be turning it over to Denae here in just a moment to take over as our guest for Sharing Our Stories. I want to thank Nani, our producer, for being here. Also, Dan Chavez, our producer, that you do not see. Thank you for all your
You
work.
see him. See how I look? He's just a younger version of me.
Tomas runs an amazing organization that's the sponsor of this program, and that is Tribe Recovery Homes. Tomas, how are things going at Tribe, man?
Everything's going great. We have we're in a big, huge growth and organizational shift. So what that means is opportunity, and we did well to get to that point. Like our producer, Nani, is also our business development professional at Tribe, and she's busy 24/7, and she's got a lot of weight on her shoulders with a great attitude. By the way, 5 years clean and sober. That's amazing.
Nani, you're five?
Congratulations.
Five?
Thank you.
Congrats.
5
Yes.
years.
Sweet.
5 years.
5 years and working for Tribe Recovery Homes. That's got to feel so good.
It does. It feels great. Thank
you know,
you.
being in your recovery and giving back.
Yes. Thank you.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you
And
very
thank you
much.
for the work you do for us here too.
Thank you.
Nani does our scheduling. She lets our guests know about how we're going to torture them. And,
No, she gives it to us softly.
Yeah,
And
she
then
does.
we come to you guys.
She gets your hopes up and then finds out I'm in Las Vegas, and then you got to reschedule.
We do it every Tuesday and then calls you Thursday.
Thank you for, by the way, Denae, thank you for rescheduling with us. Tomas, how many people do you currently have in the home at Tribe that you're helping with their sobriety?
We have over 100. We're in a couple of shifts. We usually stabilize about 130,
130?
to 150. We're redesigning some homes,
So-
we've scaled down for a second. We're always over 100, but these are treatment centers and step down model all the way to sober living. So when everybody sees Tribe Recovery Homes, they feel like it's just sober living. You know, we've evolved mental health, addiction, reentry, Medicaid, grants, scholarships, you name it. You get in trouble, you do drugs, you drink too much, and you get a ticket, you come to us.
Nice. And you have space for people right now.
18 beds. I can put you in male, female. I can put all 18 males in. I can put all 18 females in. Let's
I got
go.
spots for 18.
Yeah. So we
So
just
if
got
you're a
some
friend,
funding this
family
morning.
member,
All we
you
got to
need
do is set up
somebody.
your Medicaid, get those 18, get that done. Now I just announced it. I'm going to put it back on Facebook. It's going to go fast, so let's go. But I'm willing to work with you if the need is there, so don't be disappointed if they're gone. We do not try to shut doors on anybody. If it's not us, we will work with a community partner. And if you want it bad enough and we can feel that and you come in and you follow through, most likely we'll figure out how we can do a hardship with you or figure out something. But, yeah, like I said, those 18 go pretty quick, but do not stop. Don't let that stop you if you say, hey, there's no more scholarship beds. You want it bad enough, we're not going to leave you out to dry.
Our guest today is Denae Garcia from T-Town, from Thornton. From Thornton. And I've been friends with Denae on social media for a long time. I know you also have, Tomas, and you know her mom.
Yeah.
Like you know the whole
Yeah,
family.
yeah. I'm like the only Raiders fan in the sea of Broncos. Like there used to be this little house that one of the cousins, Tony. Yeah, Tony had this house like on 17th and Julian, huh?
Yeah, walking distance from stumbling distance.
Yeah, like like they had
From the stadium.
bullhorns and everything. Like it was Bronco town. And I walk in, and the first thing her mom does is like, he must be a nice man, but F the Raiders. You know what I mean? You know the first thing. But she's great family, the Medina family, Ray, his brother, his mom and dad, everybody out there. The Medina family is one of the true reasons that I feel good about getting clean and sober, because Ray was one of my biggest support systems and a really close friend of mine, and still a really close friend of mine through my sobriety, my early sobriety. And it felt good to be able to go into the places where I grew up, in the places where I was around the same people and be safe, you know, and that's where I met old girl from T-Town.
Came across a true thing.
Yeah. Well, you know, she was, and you know, she finally found her way. So, you know, with family love and support, even in the environments that people would typically say stereotypical, you know, Rocky Mountain Chicana atmosphere, federal, west side, north side people. You know, let me say north side more hyphened up, because that's a Medina family. They'll kill me if I don't.
No, that's Highlands.
Yeah.
Highlands.
That's the Highlands now. You know, but anyway, with that being said, it's like, you know, it's a beautiful thing to have Denae here, and boom. Yeah, I can't say enough about, you know, being able to serve the community and to have Denae here on the show. Recovery works.
Yeah.
I've seen Denae at her worst, and to see her today, it's day and night, and it's amazing. Truly is, my friend.
Thank you.
I've been following Denae and her recovery on social media for a long time, and I've seen her make some of the most amazing posts over the time that you've been in your recovery, and I've found them to be very inspirational. So I've been excited to have you come in and speak, and it's something that I've wanted to do for quite some time. So,
Thank you.
With, you know, let's waste no further time and pass it on to you. Our guest for sharing our stories today is Denae Garcia from T-Town.
Hey guys, I'm Denae Garcia. I am currently 3 years sober, a little over 3 years. Thank you. I was an alcoholic since I was about 19. I'm 34 now. And I just went through it all. I don't know where to start. So it all started because I'm a very closed off person. So I like to keep things to myself, my emotions and my personal problems. And so to me, it was just like an easier way to drink and kind of just like forget about the bullshit, or just kind of put on that strong front, you know, like that, no, like nothing bothered me. And then even if things did bother me, it was just more of like blame it on the alcohol, and I had an excuse. And it just led to more. I would get in my feelings, or I would not know how to control my emotions, and my first reaction was to just drink. You know, I didn't know how to deal with certain things or certain feelings or certain emotions. And alcohol was my escape. Started off as something fun and something, you know, social, but then it ended up being something that I relied on a lot, and I just did by myself. I just started getting to the point to where I didn't even like who I started becoming, so it was just easier to just drink by myself. And then I was always just in and out of jail. You know, I got DUIs, got a few domestics. You know, that T-Town came out. But, you know, got a few domestics. Felony. And I was always just I was a single mom at the time. And so the whole in and out of jail thing obviously became old, but it was just something that came with the drinking. I would drink and break out in handcuffs all the time. And so, you know, it was just one of those things where it didn't become fun anymore. I was always I was the life of the party. My house was like the party house. People would come to my house. I was always, my door was always open to anybody who wanted to drink, party, whatever. And maybe about 90% of those people are no longer part of my life. They were part of I'm not saying my downfall, because I have nobody to blame but myself. But a lot of people that did see me spiraling, or that did see me going down the wrong path, didn't really care enough to be like, hey, you're messing up. They're just like, kind of just sat back and watched, and was kind of for their entertainment, I guess, because I was just a fun time, and nobody else was down to drink. Denae was. And so they knew I was struggling. They knew I was, always in and out of jail. They knew I had to stop, but I had a few friends that were just like, we can't hang out with you if you're drinking, or we don't want to be around you if you're drinking. And of course, at the time I took it like, well, F you guys then. Like, I'm a fun time, like, you're lost. And then I realized, like, I wasn't a fun time. I was a mess. I was mean. I was aggressive. I was hateful. And it's not who I am at all. So I realized, like, some people that remove themselves from my life did it for what was best for me. And so yeah, I've even tried moving out of state. I went to detox, rehab, jail, classes. I did inpatient, outpatient, everything. And then I finally went to church. And I think that was like the first time in my life that I felt like I was going to be okay. Because I was drinking all the time. My sister actually went to church, and she was like, wanted me to go with her. I wasn't a fan of it because, like I said, I was already down the wrong path. I didn't want to go to church hungover, drunk, or smelling like alcohol. But I'm the type to also not let my sister be by herself. So I was like, F it, I'll just go with you. And I went with her, and that was like the first time I actually was able to cry and like just let it out and just be like, just feel like some sort of like weight lifted off of me. And took a few months after that, but eventually I realized like I do have the strength to get through it and to finish, not to finish, but to start stronger and, start over. And so one day I just went and got like a whole sleeve of shooters and a bottle of vodka and drank till I passed out. And that was it. Woke up with 2 shooters left. I still have those 2 shooters to like this day. And I was done. But took a lot to get there. I definitely ruined a lot of relationships along the way. I hurt a lot of people that I didn't ever want to hurt. And I guess it just kind of like humbles me now, because even when I do want to drink, or even when I do feel like overwhelmed, like I know why I'm doing it. And I know that when I was drinking, it was somebody that I don't ever want to be again. And so regardless of how bad things feel or how bad things do get, like I know that they were worse. And I know that no matter what, like tomorrow's going to be a new day. And so it's an everyday struggle, definitely, especially, I was telling my mom the other day, because she's like, how do you like encourage people to stop? Like, how do you tell them to stop? But I'm like, you can't tell like the sun to not come up. You can't tell, anything can trigger an alcoholic, or anything can trigger an addict. It's sunny outside, and I'm like, like a beer on the patio sounds freaking great right now. Or, like anybody's birthday or promotion, anything. It's just like, let's go have a drink, or let's go do this, let's go do that. And I've noticed it's difficult too, because, when you do go out, or when I do try to hang out with people and they're like, well, why don't you drink? I'm like, well, why don't you do meth? Like, mind your business. Like, I don't think it's like, it doesn't matter why. Like, I don't ask why you don't do meth. I don't ask why you don't do certain things, but it's like, it's always one of those things where it's surprising to a lot of people that that you don't drink. So, but you know, I feel like at first I was very embarrassed of like my story because, like I said, I've always put myself out there to be like a strong person that, you know, had control over myself, that had control over situations, and that was able to get myself out of whatever until I started my addiction. Then it was one of those things where I didn't know. Like, I didn't know even if I was going to make it out, because there were some days where my addiction felt so strong that felt like it was just easier to give up. And, you know, it just got to the point to where I felt like I wasn't the mom that my kids deserved, and I just wasn't a good person. And so it was just like I felt like a burden to a lot of people. And so, you know, like now, of course, thinking of like not wanting to be here, it feels selfish. But at the time, being here felt selfish because my family didn't deserve like everything that I put them through. But that's what keeps me like on the straight and narrow, I guess, is because I don't want to put them through it again. But then again, like the guilt and everything on a daily basis, it does get to me, which is something that I kind of have to learn how to forgive myself for. My grandma always tells me, if God can forgive us on a daily basis, then we need to forgive ourselves. But it's easier said than done. So getting through it though. And then my last drink, I actually woke up in booking and had no idea why I was there or what happened. I just remember I was pretty messed up. It was about, I think they said it was 3 cops and 3 paramedics that I ended up fighting. And so I got charged with a felony, 2nd-degree assault. And then they started bringing my kids into it. And, you know, I was a single mom, so they started involving my kids, involving the state. And it was just one of those things where I wasn't going to lose my kids. I wasn't going to lose, you know, I already lost myself, but I was never going to give up on my kids. And so I just had to make a choice. And my dad's actually an alcoholic. So it's kind of like bittersweet in a way, because I'm 34 years old and he still is not able to get sober. And sometimes I wonder, like, why? And I don't want my kids to grow up and be like, why couldn't she do it? Or why didn't she do it for us? And so I just want them to know, like, you know, it is for them. Obviously for me too, but like I said, I'm 34 years old, and the fact that my dad still can't do it, it hurts me. And I don't want my kids to grow up and kind of question or like feel the same way towards me. And so it hurts, but like I said, it's like bittersweet, because I'm able to kind of deal with what he's putting me through, but at the same time know that it's something that I don't want to put my kids through. So all I can do is pray for him and try to help him. I tell him, like, how much, you know, like when I do reach my milestones or whatever, he doesn't really acknowledge it. I don't know if it's because he wants to, or he just doesn't want to realize that he can't. But just one of those things where I had to, it took a lot of jail and rehab and detox and, you know, fighting with family and losing relationships to realize that it's not the path that I wanted to go down. And so I had to change. And now people knew me as Deebo back in my party days. And now Deebo from T-Town. And
that's because you like to fight when you were drinking?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ryan, Ray, remember, Deebo from T-Town is coming to the Bronco game this year.
So yeah, I used to fight a lot. I was feisty. And Yeah, they called me Deebo. And so I was just always fighting, always in trouble, always doing something. And I just couldn't anymore. Like I'm not old, but too old to be going to jail or too old to be fighting and too old to be, making an ass out of myself. So just had to get my head out of my ass and
Go ahead, you're fine. You're fine.
And, just do what I had to do. So now like I said, people knew me as Deebo back then. So when they ask me like what I'm doing now, and I tell them like, I work with the children's ministry at my church, and, I read scriptures, and I'm part of like my prayer team and, stuff like that. They're
Tomas likes to give you a hard time. I'm taking it about the church. Because you keep looking at him and laughing every time you bring up church. You're like, Tomas, don't say anything.
Yeah, he thinks I'm gonna try to be a nun one day, but
Man.
That would be a hell of a recovery,
right?
Just for the record, everybody, I do love God. I do love Jesus. He knows exactly what kind of pain in the butt I am. And he has to work overtime every day just to forgive me. But still at the same time, my path is different than everybody's path. And, I do believe God is not only one dog and pony show. He's wrote many books, and he's done a good job. But I love giving Christians a lot of hell. Agree. Because
leave us alone. Just leave us alone.
It's a passive aggressive
But how
situation.
Christian are you?
Just leave us alone. Denae, congratulations on your sobriety.
Thank you.
When you go back to, I guess when you're 31 and you're still drinking and you're deciding, all right, I'm going to do this. I've tried before. I tried all these other ways. Nothing's working. I've gone to church. I'm feeling something. I'm going to do this. What was those first few weeks like in your recovery?
It was hell. It was hard. It was very difficult. It was one of those things where I was like, what the heck am I thinking? Who am I doing it for? What am I doing it for? Like, everybody already knows what I'm about. Everybody already is like disappointed in me, and, has kind of just been like, that's her. So like, why change now? But it was also one of those things where, like I said, I've always been the type to stay to myself, and I'm always the type to I'm an underdog type of person. And so the more like everybody was just kind of like, fuck, like forget it, like that's her, let her do her thing, whatever, that's her. And it, the more I talked about like, I'm gonna stop, it was like, yeah, right, whatever. Because I said it so many times and never did it. So finally I was just like, I'm not even gonna say anything. I'm not gonna, tell anyone. I'm just gonna do it. Because I don't need anybody in my ear. I don't need anybody telling me what I should or shouldn't do. It was just one of those things where I know what I have to do.
I think that's dope because like I had to tell everybody. I needed accountability.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't keep it a secret. I had to tell folks, otherwise my secret was gonna be I'm drinking when you don't know.
Yeah.
He told everybody on the air, like straight up, his boss, everybody just on the show. Not like this show. This is the very paid for show like, that everybody listens to.
No, I did it on the without permission. Hey, boss, you have no idea that your afternoon guy is an alcoholic. But, hey, look over here. I got a drinking problem. I'm going to tell everybody on your airwaves that is. But I needed accountability. You know, so I think that's so incredible that you were like, I'm holding myself accountable. I ain't going to tell anybody. I'm going to do this, and you're not going to doubt me. You're not going to point a finger at me. Only person that can do that is myself. Which isn't easy, because like I said, it's very easy for you at that point to be like, nobody knows I quit, so you know what?
Nobody knows if I drink again.
Nobody knows, exactly, so nobody knows if I'm drinking. And then you start to, I tell people, when you try to do it like that, you start to lie to yourself to be like, oh, I can control this, you know? And the reason why I don't drink now is I tell myself now, oh yeah, I would love to have a drink 4th of July, you know, and enjoy a beer with friends at the barbecue. Problem is, that's not going to be one beer. It might be one beer at the barbecue, but the next day it's going to be 2, and third day it's going to be 3.
I
And
did
in
I
a
did
week,
cool. Yeah.
it's every day, and I'm back to the same place.
Absolutely.
There is no, oh man, I got control of this now. Look, I was sober for almost 7 years, so I can definitely have a beer here or there. Look how great I am. That's not in my story.
And what I wanted to ask you is what does a higher power in recovery mean to you? What does that look like for somebody that really is a Christian faith that really feels that it's about church and they can't get it? Because there's a lot of people out there that they go to church and they just do regular church. How do you make recovery work at church? How does that work? Because that is the major question, because it's not what I've seen. Is many people call me and say, man, I go to church on Sunday, I go to church on Wednesday, I do this, I do that, but I just can't stay sober, I just can't stay clean. What's going on? What's happening? Tell the listeners, how do you do that? What makes you different or about your recovery path that you can stay an avid member of your faith in your church and be that involved and stay sober in that environment?
So I do help a lot of people with sobriety at my church. So if they are battling with addiction or whatever, they do reach out to me. And I'm not saying I use them, but talking to them and hearing their struggles definitely humbles me, and reminds me of where I once was, and it reminds me of how I once felt. But it also reminds me, like when I go to church, it also reminds me that as much times as I tried taking my own life and as much times as I wanted to give up, God didn't let me. And there's a lot of people that don't get a second chance, that don't get to wake up in the morning, or that don't even get a chance to sit here and talk about their story. Some people don't make it through recovery, or some people just don't want to. And I feel like every day I wake up, it's just a blessing, because I know that regardless of anything, like regardless of how bad things get, tomorrow is a new day and it's going to be okay. I just have to, I can't stress over what I can't control. And, just got to pray on it and have faith, and whatever happens, happens. Like, in the way I look at it, I don't know, it's not karma, whatever, but when bad things happen to me, I'm like, I must have done something to deserve that. So it's like, crossed off my list, like on to the next. But I don't look at things happening to me anymore. It's like happening for me.
Okay.
And rather than being like, oh my gosh, why is this happening? Or, oh my gosh, like my life, this and that, it sucks. I step back and think of it was way worse.
So what I'm hearing is perspective. Definitely faith, keeping faith in perspective and helping the next person playing it forward.
Yes.
In your recovery, involved in church. You are the person they could come to if they're instead of asking for a shot, they're asking for hope.
Yes.
And you can sit down with them and you have good listening skills to play it forward. And everybody listening, that's really truly what it's about. You can't keep what you don't give away. That's the main ingredient. Mm-hmm. If you think you're going to keep it all yourself and not give it away, well, you got another thing coming, because that's just not the way that the evolution of recovery and the spinning door, revolving door works. You have to be able to help the next person. The day I forget that is the day I could be that close to using again. Mm-hmm. And that for me, just like you, scares me to death. I tell my wife, I tell my family, I tell everybody, I can't stop helping people. I have no choice. To keep what I have to give it away. There's no way that I could just go and try to be normal.
And that's what I tell my husband too. Like, I feel like I was even talking to my mom this morning that she was just saying, like at the time I didn't realize why I was going through what I was going through. It was just like so hard for me, so lonely, so just stressful, just one of those things where felt like I couldn't get through. But she said, God knew that you had the heart and you have, the gift to, the want or the need to help people. So, I got through it. Like, I feel like, I went through what I went through and I got through what I got through because I do want to help people, and I do want my story to reach others, and I do want people to see that there is light at the end of the tunnel. You just have to, just love yourself and just give yourself that chance and just believe in yourself. Some people just feel like they don't deserve it, but I feel like we all do, regardless of what we've done, regardless of what we haven't done. I feel like we all deserve happiness, and we all deserve to just love ourselves.
And correct me if I'm wrong, and that's like the experience you went with your sister, correct? When you finally broke down to your higher power, to God, and that's the perspective that you gained through your pathway, was it just something that you just knew that was the way to go?
I think it was just for like the first time I felt like just like at ease. Like my whole life was just always like I felt like a freaking crackhead sometimes, you know, always just like wanting, like, where's my next shot? Like just wanting to leave, like, you know, when is church gonna be over so I can go to the liquor store? Or, you know, just constantly like, oh my gosh, like I don't want to be around anybody, I don't have a shot. But when I finally went to church, it was just like a breath of fresh air. Like I'm okay. And so to me, like that's where, because like I said, I've done classes, inpatient, outpatient, detox, jail, did it all, and nothing. I'm like, okay, jail, I'll pay the fine, come back in a couple months. You know, it is what it is. But with church, like I finally had people that genuinely cared and genuinely wanted to see the best in me. So
I'm sure Slim and Nani have some questions. One of my last questions is this, and I'll say one of them because I always come up with another. This is the way I am. But what I'd like to know is say like me, I'm very, very, very much me when it comes to church and that. And, you know, on a further show, 5 shows, I could probably explain to you my pathways that people would be like, oh my God, what are you thinking? But I'm an addict in recovery and that's mine. You know what I mean? But what I'm saying is this is when you say I went into church, I wasn't sure about God. I needed to get sober. I was just like you. It was shot from shot. And say you're not available. What is the Denae situation in a Christian church that you've known from being so involved in churches that a person can find help? Is it celebrate recovery? Is it what would you suggest for somebody that just walks into church and says, hey, I have a drinking problem, you know? And from what I'm hearing is there was no really set program for you when you went in there. You just went on blind faith and surrender. What does that look like? How would I achieve something like that? I just got done drinking this morning. I passed out all afternoon and I ended up breath stinking, headache, hungover, full of guilt, sitting in a pew looking for hope.
I think people just need to be honest. A lot of people try to downplay their addiction or try to downplay how they act or certain situations when they are in their addiction. And because I know firsthand, you know, I used to be like, go to the doctor and they do drink. Yeah, here and there, you know, a couple shots here and there. No big deal. You know, like I'm a healthy drinker, whatever that is. But, you know, I just feel like people just need to be honest, you know, just be straight up and just be open with what you need. Like you can't help somebody who doesn't want to help themselves. And they just have to be open and willing to accept whatever help they can get. And
you know, I wasn't trying to act like I've never been in the church. I mean, my dad's Knights of Columbus. My mom was Lady of the Auxiliary. I mean,
I don't know. You're a Raiders fan, so who knows?
There's a holy one. Yeah, that's true.
Church burns down when you walk into it.
Church is across the street.
Hey, now I'm a dual resident type of thing. I got Las Vegas.
God don't love the Raiders.
God loves the Raiders.
Not judging from the last few years.
I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to go there. Bronco fans, for the sake of the Broncos and the Nuggets winning, congratulations. I didn't get to tell anybody because I was sitting in the Monte Cristo at Caesars when I seen it.
Eating a steak.
Well, I was smoking a cigar, but it was a great thing to watch. Congratulations to our hometown. Nuggets actually doing that. It was amazing to watch.
Better say it with that hat on.
Yeah, man. I mean, just because I'm a Raiders fan, it doesn't mean I don't like any other team that's in Colorado. I just don't like y'all's team.
Well, you don't like your team.
Yeah. You know, I'm not going to your church.
You know, your team drives people.
I'm not going to my church. Your team, I don't have a church.
Your team drives people to drink.
Man, yeah, because we've been beating you for 3 years straight.
That's where domestics all come from.
We've been beating you for 3 years straight. That's why you're drinking so much. Sonny,
Mom, don't listen.
Nani?
Yeah, So when we had talked earlier, you had talked a little bit about being of service and giving back. And so something that I just wanted to see if you could share about is some of the service that you do about going into institutions and just being a part of the community there and what that experience is like. And
so yeah, I guess you can say I kind of like sponsor a few people. I talk to them. I feel like with addiction, it's more of some people just needing somebody to talk to and just needing somebody to listen, because it's all like, as an adult and as, a person with common sense, you know what you need to do, you know what you have to do, you know what you should do, but it's one of those things where your addiction takes over and you can't. And so sometimes people just need, so I do volunteer, I do talk to people, I do go to different places and kind of tell my story. And sometimes people just need to just be heard. Because like I said, as it's easy for somebody who's never dealt with addiction to just be like, well, just stop or just don't do it. Just if you don't want to do it, then don't. It's easier said than done. But when you actually talk to somebody who's been through addiction, I feel like, like with him, I feel like I can't stop helping people because it does humble me, and it does, like, I know how it feels to feel alone, or to feel like nobody understands, or to feel like everybody's given up on you, and it's not a good feeling, and I don't want anybody else to feel like that. And if I can help somebody, or if I could just be that person to, for them to talk to for 20 minutes and just cry it out, then that's fine. But sometimes I feel like that's just what you need, just somebody to listen to you, not tell you what you need or what you need to do.
And it's usually a complete stranger. It's crazy about that, because we've all looked right dead at the people that we love so much, and they're done. Mm-hmm. They can't help us.
Well, we've worn them out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You wear them out, and they don't understand quite often what it is that we're going through as an addict, and you wear them out, and they're just like, I don't know what to do for you.
Mm-hmm. It's one of those things where if you can't help somebody who doesn't want to help themselves, you can't control, or you can't stress over what you can't control. Like, if you don't want to help yourself, I can't help you.
That's like all the different programs that you went through leading up to when you decided, I want to help myself.
Yeah.
And then it was on your own, church, and on your own.
Yeah.
You did that.
And it's difficult when people ask me, because, everybody has their own way of coping with things. So when people ask me, like, how did you get sober? Just don't go to the liquor store. There are people that I had to cut off, and it's nothing personal. It's just that we had too much fun together. Like, I can't be around you because you just bring out the, let's take a shot type of Denae in me, and I don't want that. So it's nothing personal. It's just take it as a compliment. We have too much fun together.
Do you have those friends who you used to have too much fun with together, who have now followed you into a recovery?
Yeah, I have a few friends that I've drank with. There's a few that I haven't even talked to for years, and they'll just message me and be like, I need help. Like, what do I do? And it's just one of those things. And I feel like I'm a little too persistent, but I'm the type to, like, if I haven't talked to them in a couple days, I'm like, hey, how are you doing? Like, what's going on? Like, and they're just like,
you're an angel. That's being an angel for someone.
Just one of those things. Like I said, it's just the little things, just feeling like somebody actually still cares, or somebody has actually not given up yet, or somebody still sees some good in you. And like you said, it's usually a stranger, because, your family has seen you at your worst. They've seen you at your best, and they're just like, this isn't the person I know. This isn't the person I want to be around. And they're just like, I'm done.
Sometimes that stranger's been there.
Yeah.
Oftentimes I think that's a common denominator, is that stranger has been there. And so they understand what you're going through and want to be that person for you.
Mm-hmm. And that's the key point. Even like my father, my mother, she went through every emotion on earth, and she doesn't have addiction problems. So, she checked in, she checked out, a lot of the stuff that she couldn't see me in prison. But my father, he never missed anything. All the way up to the worst of the worst. And I found out later that my father has been sober since I was 2 years old. So he understands what I was going through. He's also been through that type of environment that I was subjecting myself to, that he works hard to keep me out of, and I followed that path. And it's crazy when you notice that person. You can notice that person that's really it doesn't matter what you do. And yes, they're not going to sit there like a monk, because my dad's had his explosions through that time, but he was always right there. And it was, you can chalk it up that he's my dad, yes, but there's a lot of people in this country, in this world, in fact, that it doesn't matter if you're the father. That's, it's said that's the obligation to stick by your children every second. But I truly believe, and I had conversations with him, that he knew what was happening with me. He just didn't want to miss the opportunity to see me snap out of it.
I'm just throwing this out there, but maybe he also knew that he can't get you sober until you want to be sober. He's already been there. Yeah. He's done it. So he knows this is technically on you.
Yeah. Yeah,
we could hold your hand, but you need to want it.
Yeah.
You got to take that first step.
Absolutely. It's crazy to know that sometimes, even with our addiction, all the time in our addiction, we have no idea what our environment really is. It's such a monster, and people say, I don't have a disease. I just drink too much. I don't know anything else to call it. The things that I went through and the things that I go through today, 10 years clean, it's got to be some type of disease on my thinking patterns and the things that I have to go through to just get through 24 hours. Mm-hmm. I could figure out a way to pick up a bottle or a bag within the next hour if I let myself.
You can have it delivered to you.
Yeah, I mean, that did make me mad, though, because they made all the cool stuff after I got
all the cool drinks and everything.
Yes.
Not the fentanyl. No, not fentanyl. That was like, nah.
Well, I'm like, they already have Crown and Coke mix.
That's like Tide Pods. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not
cool
taking fentanyl. I'm just not. I mean, if it's going to kill me, no, okay, I'm good. It's like drinking.
Can I sleep on it?
No. I'm not doing that. You know what I mean? If I could drink 1 million pounds of it and do 1 million, like, that's why I love meth. I could sell a pound and do a pound and not miss anything.
Not a thing. Not a thing.
He's like, questions, anybody? I could walk to Vegas.
I could walk to Vegas and drink all the beer on the way.
So, okay, speaking of Vegas, Tomas takes a lot of trips to Vegas. Sin City, right? Drugs, alcohol, strippers, cocaine, all of it. He's there every week to every other week for work to spread recovery and to help people find their pathway. So you put yourself right in the mix of all the things that are temptation and bad for you. And I know you have your ways of coping with that to make sure that you're not swayed. Denae, what do you do? Do you avoid bars, clubs, barbecue, family barbecue full of alcohol? Or have you gotten to a point now where it can be around you and not affect you?
I've gotten to the point now to where it doesn't affect me, but I also think that I'm an overthinker. And so I I'm just like, obviously any addict is like, maybe just one, or maybe, I've gone this long, maybe it won't hurt. But I'm also like, no, like when I drink, it leads to this, it leads to that, one thing leads to another. And I'm just like, it's not worth it. Like I already play the whole night out in my head and I'm like, no.
You have to, right?
Yeah.
You have to.
No, I'm good.
Like sometimes my wife was like, you take stuff too far, all the way around the corner, around the block, this, and then I go, I got you.
Yeah, you have to touch all your bases.
No choice. I have to make the whole scenario out. And you could think I'm crazy as hell, and I'm completely wrong. But I'm cool with being wrong on this one because it's going to stop me from doing whatever.
Yeah.
I've made the whole scene out, and it's completely fictitious. But in my mind, that's what will happen if I do the next step in the wrong direction.
To them, it's elaborate, but to us, it's like, no, it's really like my thought process. Like, it's really what I'm thinking about. Like, and this is sober, so I'm like, imagine if I was really drinking, or if, So I'm like, yeah, no. If I'm already thinking this sober, I don't want it to take me to that place drunk, because then it's only going to be 10 times worse and come off totally totally wrong than what I'm meaning for it to come out. And like I said, I'm a very private person, and I don't like showing like emotions or weakness. And so when I would drink, I think like everything would turn into anger rather than like, I'm not one of those crybaby drunks. It was just more of like a F it, like I don't care about anything type of thing. And that's not me. So definitely don't like the person it brought out of me. And so I do, like he said, have to have to play out every scenario and anything that it can lead to. And I'm just like, no, I'm good.
Well, I mean, the way you went about finding your pathway to your recovery, you had to shake a lot of people off. Mm-hmm. Like your circle was a circle of indulgence, and those are the kind of people that were around you, and I'm sure some of those people are still, on the edge, following you on social media and so on.
Yeah. They a lot of them were following me on, and like I said, my house was always like the party house. Mm-hmm. It was always like the hangout place, and it was just like, well, if nobody's down to drink, Denae is. And so I did have to separate myself from a lot of people and a lot of places. I actually used to live like in Denver, and I moved to Thornton because in Denver, in T-Town, because in Denver is like my dad and his family and all like my aunties and stuff, people I used to drink with, people I used to party with. And I knew if I moved closer to my mom, it'd be a little harder to, to just be drunk in the hood, of T-Town. So, so it was easier just to kind of, at the time it was like, oh my gosh, like why would I move closer to my mom? But I knew it was what I had to do. As far as my kids, everything else, it was just better for all of us.
What's your sobriety day?
May 12th, 2020.
May 12th. It just passed.
It did.
Just passed your 3 years.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
On the 14th. Yeah, that was, I'm still all messed up, y'all.
We're firmly aware how messed up you are, Tomas. We're all firmly aware. How does 3 years feel?
It feels good. I definitely am proud of myself. I'm, and like people are always like, like you said, maybe you can have a drink here and there or try to give me like O'Doul's or Heineken. I'm like, I'm not going to take in the same amount of calories not to get drunk. Like at least when I was fat, I was drunk, but I'm not going to get fat to not get drunk. So, but yeah, it feels good. It's definitely, like you said, it's an everyday struggle. It's just one of those things where it's sunny outside and you're just like, oh, a red beer sounds good, or, but I know it's not worth it. And I know it's not something that I want to do. I'm a huge Yankees fan. So when I always think of it as like baseball. Like when when we have like a winning streak, I'm like the happiest person in the world. And that one loss can just mess up everything. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that one drink obviously is just going to mess up everything. So I'm like, I've come too far. Like my OCD won't allow it. I'm like, no.
Our guest today is Denae Garcia from Thornton.
T-Town. If
there's any negatives that we get from this today, it's T-Town. That would be the one negative. That would be the one negative is the people of Thornton are very offended by the word T-Town. We probably had a few people turn us off. Just because.
Just say T-Town.
T-Town.
It's going to be like the top Googled word right now.
People are like, never heard that one before and never want to again. Denae, if there's somebody listening and they're suffering in their addiction, think of yourself back in the day. What would you tell yourself? What will you tell them?
It's going to get better. You just have to love yourself, trust yourself, and believe that you do deserve that second chance. And just know that not everybody is blessed with a second chance. And if you get that, just take advantage of it. And just know that you deserve it, just to love yourself. And just give yourself a chance. And life isn't that bad.
Now, you spoke about how when you first got sober, you really didn't look to anybody else for accountability. The accountability was all on yourself. But now you share on social media. You let people know how far along you are. You spread some hope out there to people. How much does that help you now? Whereas before it didn't matter, but now sharing, does it feel like it helps you?
Whatever I'm saying, whatever I'm doing, or whatever I'm putting out there does make people feel comfortable enough to be like, hey, she's not going to judge me. She's not going to, like she understands. And so people that I've never even met, like, have messaged me and been like, you know, like, I'm proud of you. Like, I watch your story, and I'm just like, I didn't even know you were my friend, but, you know. And so, like, it feels good to be, you know, like, I'm not saying I'm not doing it for nothing, because I know why I'm doing it. But I also know that, you know, I have people that are battling with it, or that are struggling with it, and that they may not speak on it, but they see some sort of hope, and they see some sort of, like, light at the end of the tunnel, because they're like, if this broad can do it, like, I could do it, you know? And so
I love you for sharing.
Thank
you. It means the world to me, because I know when I first got sober, I swore that I was like the only person doing it. Like, that's how it felt.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, everybody else I know just drinks and parties all the time, and I'm getting sober here.
Yeah.
And then suddenly it went from like, I'm the only person I know sober on Facebook, to suddenly I saw everybody. And it's not everybody, but so many people that I knew, and I was like, I'm not alone. And so when I see posts from like yourself, I'm like, that's my girl. You know, like I went from, today was the first day we ever actually met.
Yes.
But I've known you for a few years on social media. But I always was like, man, that's my homegirl. That's my friend right there. And it was all about recovery. And watching you do this was always just uplifting for myself too.
Well, I think I reached out to you when I was still drinking. And I reached out to you, and I was like, how do you do it? Like, how did you get sober? And that's kind of how we started talking. You were just, you know, obviously there for me. And so
I was like,
I remember it. I'm like, I remember.
You take those first steps, you know?
Don't talk about it, be about it.
It's a fact. So I want to thank you for being here. Thank you. Tomas?
Thank you for having me.
I do appreciate you coming on. It was I did not know who the guest was until about 2 hours ago, and I was really, really happy to know that you were coming. I would have really promoted it huge if I would have known. Yeah, just I don't know, you're from the beginning of my journey. Like I said, the Medina family are very, very dear to my heart, and you are our family. And I'm so, so proud of you, all the things that you've done.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I thank you for sharing this message. There's a lot of women out there that need to know that they can recover. And I don't think that their stories are told often enough, and that the spotlight needs to be put on women. Women go through so many different things and deal with so many things, especially a single mom. And it's so easy to get trapped in addiction, and to share that with other moms and women, and Hispanic women, minority women, and let them know that, hey, I did it, you can do it. I thank you. Thank you for that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm raising 2 girls, and, you know, it's definitely one of those things that you've just gone from generation to generation. And, you know, I feel like, obviously, if somebody didn't break that chain, I'm not going to let it get to my kids. And so.
And if they ever struggle in any way, you're the perfect person to help them through that struggle.
Yes.
You know, to understand and support them, and give them that somebody to look up to and go, yeah, I want to do this. My mom did it, and I need to do this too. You know? Hopefully it never happens.
Or hopefully they just, you know, I pray to God they don't hate me for it, but hopefully they saw how much I struggled, and they are just like, I hated the mom that I had at one point in time, and I'm not going to be that person. And alcohol does it to you. And I hope that's what they got out of it, then so be it.
Round of applause for Denae.
Thank you.
And yes, kids, you got your mama back.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Nani?
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on today. I think it goes to show that there's lots of different ways to recover, and you know, you are a very powerful woman in recovery, and thank you so much for everything that you do for everybody out there.
I appreciate you. Thank you. And congratulations on 5 years.
Thank you.
Of course.
High fives.
Yes.
High fives. Yes.
So
Tomas's high five was the lamest high five.
Yeah.
For anybody,
I'm in recovery. I don't get high.
His high five was as whack as it could get. There was love in this room, and Tomas was like, limp wrist in the air. Denae, thank you so much for being here.
Hand with holy water.
T-Town, stand up.
Yes.
I would, but I'm taller sitting down.
Mahai, this is Sharing Our Stories. We're on your radio on Jammin' 101.5 and Flow 107.1 every weekend. You can also follow us on social media, facebook.com/SOS Sharing Our Stories. Look up Tomas Hernandez, Thomas Hernandez on Facebook. When you see a dude just covered in tattoos, that's Tomas. And add him if you want to. If you need recovery and you want to call somebody today, call Tribe Recovery Homes. If they can't help you, they're going to put you with somebody who can. But as Tomas said at the beginning, he's got 18 beds right now available. So those are available for men, available for women, and he can help you. Tomas and his folks, Nani, the whole team, they can help you. He's got a great team. So reach out to them, 720-60-TRIBE, 720-60-TRIBE. Give them a call, and they are here for you. If you're watching us on Facebook, on Tomas's Facebook page, share this program, please. And join us every Sunday right here for Sharing Our Stories as we spread stories of addiction, but most importantly, stories of recovery. So thank you so much. Live from the 5280 podcast studios, brought to you by the Merge Media Academy. This has been Sharing Our Stories with Denae Garcia from T-Town, from Thornton. Thank you so much for being here with us.